next moderate resort that we are going to chat about is Coronado Springs, specifically the Gran Destino Tower. So I recently stayed here this summer for the first time ever, and I love it. I love it so much. I have actually never stayed in one of the regular rooms at Coronado Springs. I've seen the regular rooms, but I've never actually stayed there. I don't know if my opinion about Coronado Springs would change if I've actually stayed in one of those rooms. It might, but as far as staying in the tower, I feel like that really makes this moderate resort feel like a deluxe based on everything that the tower at this resort has to offer. The tower at Coronado Springs is considered the main building, and so that makes it close to like the check-in is in the main building. The bus station is really close. The dining, like there's a dining area, and that is all pretty close as well. Coronado Springs is a resort that holds a lot of conventions, and so that is definitely a reason why this resort is so large, but also has so many things to offer, I think, as well. When I was researching a little more about this resort, I learned that all the rooms in the tower are 375 square feet, which is larger than other moderate resorts and even some of the deluxe resorts. And I thought that was really interesting. I stayed pretty quickly, Pop Century in a room, and then I stayed in Coronado. And the size of the room definitely was one of the things that I noticed right away. The rooms at the tower definitely felt a lot bigger. The bathroom is a lot bigger, and just the space felt a lot bigger as well, which was really nice. Like if you have 4 people in a tower room, then you don't feel quite as packed together as you might in a Pop Century standard room. I think the theming of the pool and the resort is so cool. I just think how everything is decorated, it's just all done very well. And I also learned that they have a hot tub that I don't think I've ever been in a hot tub when I'm in Florida, but I did learn that in Coronado, their hot tub is actually the largest outdoor hot tub on Disney property and can fit up to 22 people. I did not know that, but good to know if you have a large group. I just think the way that this resort looks is it's just really, really pretty. There's a lot of public workspace at this one, so if you're someone that travels and you always have work to do, there's a lot of space to do this. And I know that when I was recently there, we had some time after we checked out before going to the airport. It was nice to have that extra space just to kind of hang out, do some work, get some things ready before leaving. That is not something that all resorts at Disney property have, but definitely a huge perk. There's a restaurant called Villa del Lago on the water, and it's in the middle of the resort, middle of the water, and so you have to walk out onto a bridge. I had some appetizers here and I had a drink, and we just kind of sat and watched a sports game, and it was just a really nice evening place to be. And I feel like you don't really get that in a lot of the resorts. Maybe some of the deluxe resorts for sure, but moderate, maybe, I guess, I don't know. I guess it kind of just depends. I just feel like that kind of atmosphere is found mostly in Disney Springs, but I could totally be wrong about that. There's a lot of choices here to eat, multiple like full service restaurants. There's a grab and go section, like many of the value resorts have the grab and go sections. Coronado also has one as well. And so I just thought all of the different options here was great.
I feel like Coronado is probably the only resort on property that truly feels almost like you're, away at a resort in Mexico or something. Like you could actually just take a little staycation at the Coronado. You can go to the pool. They have little relaxing pools all around in the different areas. There's so many food choices. Like I really think you don't even have to go to the parks. Like you could really spend 3 or 4 days just vacationing at the Coronado and be happy.
Yeah, I totally agree. There's just a lot to do. I think something maybe to be cautious of, since there are events that happen at this resort, I'm not familiar with them enough, but there might be times of the year when there might be a lot of people at this resort because of conventions. That might kind of change how this resort feels, but at the same time, it might be large enough where you don't notice those things. So
I can speak to that a little bit. When they built the tower, so there used to just be like a check-in center. If you can picture where the gift shop is and the fountain, there used to just be check-in where that big business center is now. But when they built the tower, they made it so that just regular resort guests like us check in at the tower, even if they're staying out anywhere on the property. And then all of the convention center guests check in a completely different area. So I do like that you never get lost in the shuffle of a convention. The only time you ever really see them is like if maybe they break for lunch, and a lot of them are in the food court, picking their entrees and stuff. But really, other than that, I never really notice. You don't feel that you're there with a bunch of convention people.
That's good to know. I was not there when a convention was going on, so that is definitely good to know. And I didn't know they had a separate check-in and check-out area, so that's also really nice. Another pro, I would say. Okay, one of the things though that I don't have a huge list of things that are negative about Coronado Springs. Like since we were in the tower and we're in, kind of the same building of everything else, we didn't have to walk outside to go to the grab and go section. But it did kind of feel far from the bus station. And so, in the morning when you're trying to make rope drop and, things are moving quickly, you're trying to grab, like for me, if I'm trying to get to the parks early right away when they open, I want something quick, something I can take with me and then hop on the bus and I'm out of there. And I felt like the grab and go section of the resort was far from the tower, like a little bit of a walk. Mm-hmm. And so that was just, something, not a huge walk by any means, but, something to keep in mind when you're trying to move quickly. On the flip side of that, they did have a small little, like at the end of one of the lounge bars that they had, they would have a coffee and pastry, like a quick little grab and go fruit stop if you wanted something. And that was nice because it was a lot closer to the buses. And so after we learned about that, I think it was like the second day, we're like, oh, we are definitely just going to do that. That was a plus. While there wasn't as many choices as what there might be in like the main area, but it was still a lot closer to the buses. Another con of Coronado is since it is a large resort, the buses have multiple stops. Since we were in the tower, we were always picked up first, and I don't know if this changes often. This is just what I experienced, so if you have a different experience, let me know. But since we were in the tower, we were always picked up first when heading to the parks, which was nice. But at the end of the night, we would be dropped off last. And that was kind of a bummer because at the end of the night, that's the toughest time. You're exhausted. You've been in the park all day. And the last thing you want to do is be the last drop off of the night. And so that was tough. Do you have a different experience with that? I don't know.
No, it's pretty rare that that's not the case. Usually you are first in the morning and last at night. So, it's kind of like riding the school bus and you're the last kid to get dropped off after school. But I do like, as you said, the tower has a designated bus stop that's right there for all of the guests in the tower. But I've actually stayed all over this property. Last summer, my family and I stayed in a preferred room. So we were over by bus stop number 2. Just last weekend, I stayed in the Ranchero section. So I was, right next to, I think it was bus stop number 3. But, the way they space them out is good. You just have to kind of go in knowing wherever you get put, you may not be the first or last off the bus, and you kind of have to figure out that system, but I still love it.
Yeah, that's fair. I need to stay in another part of the resort. I might have some different opinions about it, but yeah, good to know. I would say a con of transportation at this resort in general is the buses. The buses take the longest to get to the parks. They take the longest to get back from the parks. You don't have a Skyliner, you don't have a monorail.
I have a few things about tower versus some of the other rooms to stay in. So I've stayed in the tower with my aunt. We had a water view tower room. We absolutely loved it. But I will say it's not the best if you're traveling with somebody that you're not really, really comfortable with, because the bathrooms it is one just big bathroom and it's a glass shower. So if you're with just a friend or somebody that you're not comfortable both being in the bathroom with one of you showering at the same time, you might want to rethink that, because the rest of the rooms all over the resort have the deal where it's the toilet and shower closed off, and then the other person can still be at the sinks and you have some privacy in the shower. But we did comment on that, and I said I couldn't really stay there with just anybody, if you're a couple or whatever. But I'm thinking if you had like teenage kids that obviously don't want anybody in there while they're showering, it would take a lot longer to get ready. So just something to think about in the tower.
Yeah, no, I didn't even think about that. So that's tower rooms are the only rooms there that have the glass showers, right?
Yeah, all the other rooms have kind of like the barn door that slides across. This is after the renovations, of course. So, like you can leave people in the bed. You can still be in there if you're the first one up and, doing your hair or whatever. You can be in there privately, but then the whole shower and toilet is also another little private room. So, you can really have multiple people getting ready and and sharing the space a little more easily if they're just friends or whatever.
Yeah, good to know.